Nosotros with Community. We're here in El Ojo de Iberoamérica 2022 with Matt.
Jacob. Hi.
Hi, Matt. Can you present yourself, please?
Hi. Yes, I'm Matt Jakob, and I'm Executive Creative Director at RGA in New York. And in particular, I lead the studio department and the Web3 practice.
Perfect. Today at our conferences, you talk about Web3. So can you tell us about Web3? I don't know anything about it.
Sure. So, as the name implies, in a sense, is the new iteration of the web. And right now, we say that we are in Web 2.0, and Web 3 is kind of like looking at the next iteration of that. And you might have heard it probably when we talk about NFTs or Bitcoins kind of thing. And that is part of the technology, the backbone that underlies Web3. But Web3 is much more than just that technology, the same way that Web2 is not just the TCP/IP protocol. So Web3 is a new way to look at socials, for example, or look at customer journeys, or look at how products relate within the digital ecosystem.
Perfect. I once heard that Web3 and the Metaverse are different. So can you tell us what are the difference between those two?
So you do know a bit about
I lied because I
Web3.
like that my the people that's here explain us.
I don't know. I think it could become a bit of a philosophical answer sometimes, and I tend to have a quite broad vision. So I just talk about Web3, just because I think about the new iteration of our digital lives kind of thing, and what that means kind of thing. So in the same way, for example, that Web 2.0, we have social media such as Instagram and Twitter and Facebook kind of thing. What is the equivalent of that in Web 3? And I think the metaverse could be considered one of the kind of like those paradigms, because the metaverse is a space where people can connect and socialize, which, if you think about it, could also be the definition of a social media, for example. So for me, in a sense, Web3, the metaverse is part of Web3.
All right. I like philosophical conversations and thinking, so it's interesting. So the metaverse is like a social media inside Web3, or it could be.
Well, what is interesting is that the metaverse, the term metaverse was first introduced in a novel which is really cool. It's called Snow Crash. And I can't remember exactly, but I think it's from the 90s kind of thing. And the author talks about the main protagonist that puts this kind of like virtual reality goggles, and he gets access to this parallel world where people from around the world come together, and irrespective of their geographic location, and they can have a completely different identity from what they have in real life, for example. And I think there's many companies that are building their metaverse. Again, in terms of definitions, people say that there is only one metaverse kind of thing, and all those platforms are kind of like accenting it. But I think the metaverse can be a social platform, in the sense it can be a space where people come together to interact. But it could also be a place where people do other activities that are not just social, for example, or it could be a representation of a physical space, and also things that maybe we're still not aware of. I think it's more a sort of kind of like parallel dimension that at the moment we manage to access digitally.
So, going back to Web3 and leaving behind the philosophical discussion about Web3 and Metaverse, what can Web3 bring to this industry, to creativity, to publicity?
Totally. So Web3, I see it as the next iteration from Web2. Web2 is where we are right now with our digital lives. So Web3, it's about looking at how some, for example, the social channels or the platforms or the way we have to to live our digital lives, how they're going to be affected in the future. And during my talk, actually, I was talking about three shifts that I've been noticing in the last few months or year. And the first one is from customers to creators, and it's all about um, a different kind of like perspective in the customer journey, where the product is no longer the end point of the customer journey, but is something that gives customers access to a whole new ecosystem. And within these ecosystems, they start to create and form a community around that. So I think that's one of the big shifts that I think Web3 is going to provide to our industry. Another one is from social to communities. So this is specific to social media and the fact that people are getting a bit tired of Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and socials are not that social anymore. And instead, we're seeing new platform emerging, like Discord, for example, where the interactions there are much more complex and much more similar to the way um, people interact, socialize in real life. And then the third shift that I was talking about today was from status to utility. And this is a bit more specific to NFTs, or is within Web3, but it's about the use of NFTs for the creation of loyalty programs, for example, or as a way for brands to create new forms of engagement with their customers and maybe even give them access to physical products. So I think that there's also something interesting there happening in commerce.
Okay, interesting. I was interested about what you said about the community, that we seek community in these spaces,
Yeah.
because yeah, humans seek community and Web3 can bring us that.
Totally, and I think maybe like the my generation which we really kind of like saw the emergence of social media. I think we kind of forgot a bit sometimes about our human nature and the beauty of connecting with other people. And what I love seeing with the new generation, the Gen and Z, is that they're so much more switched on with um, uh, society topics and the environment and politics, and they really want to get together and fight. And it's beautiful that there is this kind of like synergy of times. There's this group of people that they're really looking to get together, and the technology is ready and enables them to do that. And so there are these servers on Discord, for example, that are incredible melting pots for the development of new, for example, radical thinking and political activism, that I think is quite beautiful.
Yeah, it's like always technology like complementing what are our human needs.
Yes, and as I say in my talk, actually, some some of the paradigms that usually we see in society happen when there is the intersection of a human need and emerging technology.
Okay, interesting. So we will have to re-look at your conference.
I'll send you the PDF.
Thank you.
Okay.
So thank you for being
Pleasure.
here, and thank you for to our Rose Brief community, and keep up with El Ojo de Iberoamérica.